Hello. Welcome to the Black Lodge Games live stream. How is everyone tonight?
How we doing, boys?
Let's see, we got squat bench deadlift saying, I'll likely be late anyway. The hype rises. This should be interesting.
That's right.
Yeah. Sounds great. Thank you, Dyson Anarchy. Good to see you. Malachi, blasphemy. Yeah, I know. We're anticipating many people having some takes about Dragonlance that are wrong.
Yes.
But that's why we're here. We're here to tell you why you're wrong, not if. How's it going, Solane or Soline? I'm not sure how to say your name. Garm says, Mythras is awesome. Glad to see such a great setting as Dragonlance finally being used with a good RPG system.
This guy gets it.
Yeah, this guy does absolutely get it. Hello, Mr. Max. It
What's
is
happening, man?
so wonderful to see you, as always. Oi. Yeah, buddy. How's it going? Good to see you, man. Brother Grognard, ahoy. Jeff from Denkar, hello. How's it going, Shauner?
Good to see you, man.
We're taking some D&D stuff and taking it out of D&D. We'll
Making it better.
yeah, we'll see if you is it possible to roleplay in Mythras? That's the question. Dice Tales working late. Sorry to hear that. I do not enjoy the wage cage. Been meaning to check out Mythras. You absolutely should check out Mythras. I really like this system. I had a good time playing it. We were playing fast and loose with the rules because we spent a lot of time in town. Then we got into a fight, but it had been like, I don't know, that was probably hour 3 of the session. And
Yep.
so we were trying to be able to go to bed on time. Dragonlance is a filter. 2-ton on time and under budget as always. How's it going, Primeval Fantasy?
Hell yeah, good to see you, man.
I have not checked out your talk with, I almost said Shauner.
I would watch that too.
Yeah, I would. With Runeslinger as of yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. D100 is good for roleplay if skill-based in general for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed. Dragonlance is cardboard-flavored oatmeal in a white bowl. You
Are very
are
wrong.
very wrong. Baron Vladimir Harkonnen! The only thing I know about Dragonlance is there are kenders and possible dragons and lances.
Correct.
I bought a copy of the 2E rules. Gonna skim through it later on.
Nice.
Space Roadie, you say that like it's a bad thing. Yeah, so I didn't know anything about Dragonlance until like 2 weeks ago. We are working on a video that's coming out next week about Dragonlance.
Yes.
That's going to be really good. Some of what we talk about tonight, but of course it'll be much more clarified.
Right.
Clarified butter. Just doing some word association. That's okay. Ran Dragonlance in the late 90s using the Palladium system. I've never actually played any of the Palladium games, although we had a shitload of them in the house when I was growing up. Salute. Feet on table power stance.
That's right.
You're goddamn right. The feet and the legs are getting more powerful. We are lifting again, and we are making gains.
Hell yeah.
Turns out I don't have 64 magic points. Yeah, Dare the Wonder was playing with us last night, and there a slight misunderstanding about his skill rating versus the number of magic points he actually had.
Yeah.
Shauner subscribed.
Oh my god.
Wow, that means he unsubscribed at some point. Oh, and just for the record, we did, since we are streaming solo tonight, we did re-enable the Biden text-to-speech.
Yes.
AI text-to-speech. So it made me use some default voice if it's $1, and then anything over $2 or more will be read by the president, who is a friend of the show, Joe Biden.
Yes. He is actually on call
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. He's our producer.
Yeah.
Which may explain some of the Yeah, but we had like oh God, what was I saying? Doesn't matter. It's gone. The thought's gone. We're running full steam right now.
Yep. But it was fun yesterday. It
Yeah.
everybody role played their characters very well,
Yeah.
which is great and the most important thing.
Oh yeah.
And it ran very smoothly. Again, a lot of it, especially at the beginning, it was straight role play, which is a feature that is good.
Yeah.
But when it came to interfacing with the mechanics, whether it was skill rolls or combat, towards the end, I think that still worked quite well. Again,
Right.
I was trying to compress some things for time.
And none of us have played Mythras before,
Right, so
which is the other part.
I
of it.
wasn't using the combat special effects, which are an integral part of Mythras combat. That makes it very dynamic, can make combat very quick. Because again, a single hit from one opponent can be the end of it, whether
Yeah.
it's session 1 or session 30 or session 100, because your hit points do not go up.
Yeah, and the other thing was, so this is again, it's very similar to BRP. Mythras
Right.
was RuneQuest 6th edition, but there was licensing issues when Chaosium reformed, and now it's its own game. All of the Glorantha setting stuff has been pulled out, and it's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
So, but it's a D100 system. You do have hit locations for, like, you have hit points for your arms, legs, abdomen, torso, and head. Armor doesn't always cover everything, so you have to really know. Like, it's very simple. It's all in the character sheet.
Right.
But it felt, it was quick. It was pretty. It wasn't that much slower than D&D. D&D has pretty. If you're just trying to whack people with a weapon, that's easy in D&D. It's very
Right,
fast.
right.
Roll a D20, and then did I hit? Roll my damage, And this is a little more complicated because it's opposed rolls. If you are trying to either evade or parry an attack, it's an opposed roll, and then if you hit, you have to roll for a hit location, and then you have to roll your damage. But it went very fast, and the thing that I found that was really cool about it was it actually having the mechanics there describing where you're hitting, where you're parrying. It made the combat feel more real to me.
Right.
Which
it
was
gives
fun.
further clarification to what is actually happening. And it gives
Right.
you, like, more of a starting point. Like, you know what weapon you're using, you know what weapon your opponent is parrying with, if
Right.
they are parrying, and you know where the blow has landed. And so that gives you all the context clues that you need to take it from
Friend
there.
of the show or friend who's slow Bozinga.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Nice.
the $4.99. We appreciate that, and thank you for Joe Biden reading that. Oh man, that was awesome. Yeah, but it gives you know how to describe what you're doing. It's like if you hit, I hit them in the I hit them in the arm, or I
Right.
parried with my shield, and my shield may have been damaged when that happened, or they missed their attack, but I still successfully parried, means I used my shield to hit them,
Yep.
and I've done something to them. It was really cool.
Right. And it becomes even more dynamic when you use the special effects. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I have a degree of success over my opponent. I have a sword. I'm going to choose the impale. Or
Right.
you even used it for one
Yeah, the
combat turn. You chose to stun
stun
a
the
hit location
with my shield.
your shield bash.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the example. I think I failed
Yeah,
to parry. Or no, I failed to
I-
hit you,
I
but you
succeeded at
successfully
parried. Yeah.
Right. So you bashed the Dark Knight in the leg with your kite shield.
right.
Which again, that's a thing that can happen in
Right.
combat.
And
right?
it's And it was very cool too because Mythras also has what are called action points. So
Yeah.
you have between 1 and 3 action points based on your characteristics. Most people have 2. If you're really shitty, you only have 1. If you're fucking awesome like I am, because I rolled a ridiculous character, you have 3. And so what that means is that a combat round basically happens. You establish the initiative order, and everybody, when they take an action, are expending an action point. That can be to make an attack, or if someone is attacking you, you can use that to evade or block, disengage, any of these different things. And then once we go through that initiative order, we go, okay, everybody has their second, or anyone with 2 action points, we're going to go down the initiative order again. And then if you have 3 action points, those last few people get to go as well.
Right.
And so there was a lot of choice there too, coupled with the fact that I had full articulated plate mail, as a Knight of Solamnia should.
Correct.
It was really kind of cool because it was like, I was like, you know what?
I think I can take this.
Yeah, I was like, I think I can let these guys just hit me, so I'm going to hold on to my actions so I can attack them and kill them. And of course I didn't because I failed. I failed to hit. I spent a luck point to re-roll, and then I fumbled. I rolled 100. And I fumbled on, I was trying to overturn a giant witch's cauldron of people meat, and I fumbled on that and burned myself with the boiling liquid.
Yeah, the only damage that was done to you was done by yourself.
By myself. So it was cool. Yeah, like it was, I really, really liked it. Armor is very important too.
Which again, that makes perfect sense. Again, that's one of the things I love so much about it is, we've talked a lot about simulation and that being like a good and appropriate starting point.
Yeah.
When choosing a rule set, Mythras perfectly simulates what it's trying to do, which is Bronze to Iron Age fantasy.
Yeah.
And it does it so well while still being so easy to interface with.
Yeah.
Everything makes sense. Not only does it make sense, the characteristics that you have, the derived attributes that you have, the different mechanics, the book, the authors say, why is it this way? Well, like I think you're
why is your
initiative
insight
bonus
skill?
Yeah, or like your initiative bonus is a combination of your intellect. It's your intellect plus your dex divided by 2. Why is that? Because acting quickly in combat requires a keen mind and like a nimble body. Makes perfect sense. It's not just your dex, right? So I really like that.
And the thing I liked about character creation, because Nick made 3 other pre-gens for the other players to choose from, and we sat down. This was, and I just rolled up a character, and went through this. And as opposed to like BRP, where it's a total point buy on all of your skills, like you have basically set, are you playing a normie tier campaign, heroic level, super heroic, that sort of a thing. That gives you a pool of points that you're then going to distribute between all these characteristics. They do have what's called professions that tell you like, okay, you take these, 6 skills. These are ones that you have to put points into. And then you have a choice of any 4 of this list to add on to that. And you add points out of this certain pool to do that. And then later on, you get your personal skill points that you can put wherever you want. And that's fine, but it takes a while.
Right.
And that is a problem of all point buy systems. Mythras, on the other hand, a lot of that, you have all of these skills that everyone has access to, and they're all derived from your attributes as like a baseline. So it's like certain skill might be strength plus size, or dex plus int. You go down the line, calculate all of those, then you get a particular, you get another set of points that you can then apply on top of those to kind of round them out and customize it. and you get a couple of, there is a profession, but it's
Right.
4 skills, you know.
Well, I mean, so Mythras, it breaks out the total skill points that your character can assign at character creation into first of all your starting culture. This is where you grew up. 'Cause again, this is giving you context to build a concept. Whatever if you are playing a Knight of Solamnia, but your character could have come from any number of different like cultural milieus, and that is going to,
You could have come from a civilized background, a
civilized,
barbarian. Yeah.
nomadic, and primitive are the 4 different cultural milieus that are offered, and they give you different different skills that are correlated to being brought up in that kind of environment, and certain passions as well, which Mythras has, and I really like. Although we didn't utilize them.
We didn't use any of them,
but that's okay. It's hard
Knight
to.
of Salamia, Mama MIA.
Knights of Solamnia, Mamma Mia. Thank you, Matthew Pickard, for the
Nice.
$2 Canadian. Which unfortunately looks like it was
The
like
regular.
$1.49 in American dollars, which did not trigger Biden, unfortunately. I'm
Thanks,
sorry,
Biden. Shirking his duties.
Yeah, you
again.
can. Yeah, you can exactly. You can blame Biden for that one.
Yes, and you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your skills come from your starting culture, from your profession, and then you have a final pool of personal points to round out your character.
Yeah.
So
And that went very, very quickly.
yeah,
And yeah, it's cool. I really like the damage modifier. It's not simply based on strength. It's combination of strength and size. Right?
strength and size.
Yeah, strength and size. So my guy had really high strength and really high size. He's like 6'5", 240. And so I got like an additional D4 of damage on any melee weapon, and potentially also some ranged weapons. It depends. Like you brought up last time, like you don't add your damage modifier to a crossbow because
Right.
it's
Your
fully
strength,
the mechanics of the weapon itself.
Right.
But it was really cool. And what kind of got us thinking of using DragonLance with this was we're working on this DragonLance video, and basically why it's the best D&D setting that was ever produced. The best D&D fantasy setting that was ever made. Even though everyone gets that entirely wrong.
Yes, they do.
They say it's, it's the worst. It ruined D&D because they had the story game modules and all this stupid shit. If you stop for a second and realize that you have imagination, you don't have to use the modules.
Yes.
You can just use the setting.
And that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Read
Factions.
read the
and-
novels
Yeah.
if you want to experience the novels.
Yeah.
But use this awesome, logically and philosophically consistent world to get lost in.
Right. And yeah, so we were kind of thinking about this because a lot of what you had described to me was these different martial orders that exist within the world. The Knights of Solamnia. What was the Knights of Naraka?
The Knights of Naraka, or the Dark Knights, and the Legion of Steel.
And the Legion of Steel. And you also have these 3 different kind of esoteric orders of magic users. And none of that really fits within D&D classes.
Right.
Not-
most D&D, like half of the D&D classes, certainly from like 3.0 onward, really don't fit, and you really shouldn't be using them if you're playing. If you're taking the world seriously.
Yeah. And so we were thinking just about like Mythras in general, because we've been talking about it a lot. And there's of particular note in this book, there's a chapter on cults and brotherhoods. Which I have not read in full yet, but
So good.
yeah, but it basically creates these factions and organizations that you can have loyalties to and whatnot. And these fit much better than D&D in terms, and the cults describing the magical orders.
The
and
Legion of Steel. Insert racist statement here.
Thank you again. But it's yeah, the brotherhoods fit with the martial orders, and the cults fit perfectly for creating these mystical orders.
Yeah.
And creating the sorts of rites and rituals and codes of honor that you have to follow, and all these things. And it was it
gives you the support to really make them come alive, rather than having to. You're implicitly falling back on the D&D class to sort of like you're hoping that the thematic archetype of the class is going to inform the role play, but it never really works. It never really works out that way, right? Especially now, because the D&D classes have become so like diluted and so divorced from whatever their thematic like inspiration
None
is.
of them are archetypes.
None of them are archetypes at this point.
In
Some
modern,
of them really
modern
never were.
D&D. Yeah.
But with this, for the Knights of Solamnia themselves are ordered into. It's a military order, different titles and castes and ranks, and titles of nobility. There are different branches of the knighthood. You have the Knights of the Crown, the Knights of the Sword, the Knights of the Rose. Everything sort of fits. You can't encapsulate that with a fighter or a paladin class. But in Mythras, from the outset, it's telling you, the GM, hey, you should be thinking about these things because they are of paramount importance to people in this world. Certainly anyone who's going to be like involved here.
Yeah.
And here's how you do it. Here's what a certain rank is going to feel like, generally going to provide. Why would someone join these orders? There are skills, there's training, there's equipment, there's mentorship. There's all these things which are available, and here's also what you need to do in order to, like, if you may have to tithe, you may have to.
You have codes of behavior.
Codes of behavior. Again, this is all very realistic, and more importantly, it's very.
What would you say
thematic.
the right scope of a campaign would be? I'm trying to make a Wild West meets Roman Spain setting, but I'm worried I'm overshooting.
Well, let's see here. What would you say the right scope of a campaign would be? I'm trying to make a Wild West meets Roman Spain setting.
That is interesting.
But I'm worried I'm overshooting. I don't know. I mean, my thoughts are always start small and just see where your players take you.
Yeah, that combination is. I can think of a number of different ways to go with that, but nothing that's really coming to mind as what would you say? It isn't like a well-trodden path of artistic inspiration or a theme or a subgenre, but that's a benefit. So what makes this unique and really interesting? What makes it pop? Figure out what that is and turn the volume up on that.
That one thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that should inform other things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Focus on the thing that you think is cool. If the players bite on that, then you get to go in that direction. But largely the scope of the campaign, don't worry about building out some vast world in advance.
Yeah.
Start small and start locally, and then as the players kind of push boundaries on it, you can expand it from there. And that takes a lot of the load off, I think. Don't think that you have to have everything figured out beforehand, because then you'll just never actually get to running it.
Right. And no one ever can.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, kind of back to what we were talking about with the The Dragonlance thing, it's not even I think that the classes don't encapsulate these things, which I think you're right. They don't encapsulate the kinds of characters in the world of Dragonlance. It's that Dragonlance itself does not really fit the model of a D&D game, which is about adventuring and going and finding a bunch of gold, being like adventurers and thieves and like brigands and all this. It's much more.
It's not a dungeon delving world.
Right. It's not a dungeon delving world. So it's not really the appropriate system to use for that world. The whole thing of like wanting to the incentives in playing a game of in Dragonlance is to play as that character. And if you're like a Knight of Solamnia or trying to get into the Knights of Solamnia is trying to do the accomplishments necessary to do that. The incentives, instead of being strictly like magic items and gold and all this other stuff, although that exists, the incentive is built into the world. These are non like game loopy incentives. These are character incentives. And if you want to play a character driven game, you need goals. Characters need goals. And this is, I don't know, this is the thing that drives me crazy is where people, I get the whole thing in game design of like, you gotta give people the carrot, you gotta put the carrot in front of them so they know what to do and they keep doing it. They keep getting their little dopamine. They keep hitting the come button, like that's like,
yeah, I get it, but it's still wrong.
It's still wrong. It's like, I don't need that.
Yeah. If
my character and everyone else's characters has goals and they probably won't be the same goals, shit's going to happen.
I brought my own carrot.
Yeah.
Right? Like I am a fully realized person with a history, with a conception of the present, and I can imagine possible futures, and some are better and preferable to me than
right. I can
others.
imagine different ends. I can select the end that I desire, and I can apply a means to achieve that end. And if I achieve the end, that's fun.
Yes.
That's cool. And if I fail to achieve the end, that's fun.
It's almost the definition of fun.
It's literally like the reward loop is human action.
Yeah.
The reward loop is you just have to read human action. That's it. But this is a setting that provides you with a lot of character incentives off the bat, interesting factions,
and this is a rule set that also wants you to perform, to create your own, and act on your own character incentives.
Yes. Yeah, which you should be doing. That is what role-playing is, basically.
Yeah. Like experience is just, you do skills. Skills are just tasks and obstacles that you are overcoming as you live and as you move through the world. As you do them, certain skills will get better depending on how you behave and the situations that you're in. Nothing else. There's no abstraction. There's no gold for experience. There's no experience for slaying monsters.
Right.
There's no experience for completing quests or achieving narrative goals. It's like you act in the world.
Yeah.
If you don't act in the world, you will not get experience, which is very realistic.
Yeah. Imagine that. But it really kind of felt like it made a lot more sense to use Mythras. And it was like as soon as that light went on, we were like, oh shit, this is way better. And it was cool. I really think it would have sucked in D&D.
And just, again, in Mythras, the combat is cooler, it's more badass, and it's better. And the magic system is cooler, more badass.
Well, it's also,
better.
it's like, in Dragonlance, how many Wizards of the Black Robe are casting grease?
The system
the system doesn't
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Right.
These are things that are at odds with each other.
Everyone knows there's these 57 spells.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's so terrible.
Let's check out this. Warriors of Kryn was such a letdown.
I'm not sure what that is.
Don't know.
That might be one of the 5e supplements for it, in which case I believe you.
Friend of the show, Joe Biden, unsubscribed. Oh, man. I would definitely have a beer with Biden. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be so funny.
The shit he would say.
Yeah.
In French, it's pronounced salut. I'm a filthy leaf. Ooh, another Canadian. We do have quite a few Canadians in here, though. Many leaves. I was really upset when I realized the Dr. Quinn game wasn't real.
Who says it wasn't real?
Yeah.
Again, it will be coming in, what did we say, 2050?
Yeah.
2051? So just around the corner.
In all honesty, I find games with no objective or character motivation beyond no treasure to be vapid and played out at this point.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I find games with no objective or character motivation beyond mud treasure to be vapid and played out.
Right.
Yeah, it's Axe gets a pass for me with the gold for XP thing because you have so much shit you have to spend money on over time, like big money sinks, that it kind of does make sense in some ways.
And at least thought and work has gone
it's
into
way more well thought out.
Like this, yes, this is a game abstraction.
Yeah.
But here is why, and here is how, and here's what we're trying to simulate here.
Right. Because my thing is, again, if I have goals in the world, if I want to raise an army, I'm going to need money.
True.
Money is useful. And if your game doesn't have like anything to sink the money into, it's going to be hard to going to be hard to do that. But yeah, I just want games with let me pick the incentives.
Yes.
Like let me choose the goals. The thing I like most about DragonLance is that it is sincere.
Yeah. That's something we said at the beginning. Like, if you take nothing else away from like the gimmick, the theme of the world of Dragonlance, the setting of Dragonlance, is that this is not ironic, it is not cynical, it is not deconstructive in any way. Everyone, whether they're good, neutral, evil, whatever they are, whoever they are, they believe what they're telling you.
Yeah. This Dragonlance Mythras thing seems interesting. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It felt good. I want more, basically.
Yeah.
I desire to know more and intensifies. Longtime listener, first time caller, and happy to see you both showing folks that you can mix and match settings and mechanics to create the game you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I'm running in locals next week, Lone Wolf Fists, which is Joel T. Clark's kind of Fist of the North Star inspired anime wuxia post-apocalypse game setting that also takes inspiration from like Exalted and everything like that. And I'm really hoping that the mechanics work out, because if so, I might be able to just run Exalted using Lone Wolf Fist someday. But I do want to give that game a try because the writing is awesome. It won't be streamed, but I'm talking to him tomorrow, most likely online, and to go over the mechanics because they're very different than any game I've played before, and ask some questions and stuff like that. And then in a couple of months, he's going to come out of the show and actually talk about his game. I think potentially he may have a Kickstarter in the works for a new supplement for it, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see how that goes and to hear what your thoughts are, because that is very much not a genre that I have a natural like affinity for, but it seems really
If
interesting.
you got Twitter and don't follow Dano there, you're missing out on so much goodness.
Oh yeah, we follow Yodano.
Yep.
For sure. Everybody go follow Yodano on Twitter. He's got all the good Dragonlance takes, and all the good Dragonlance art is constantly being posted by him. And thank you for the $5. Thank you to
sir.
everyone who was super chatted tonight. yeah, I definitely I want more of this, and yeah, it's also, I don't know if Mythras has any sort of a mass combat system. If it does, it's in a different supplement. I know it's not in the core book.
Yeah, it's not in there. I'm not sure. I don't believe so, but I may be wrong about that.
But this didn't feel like D&D.
Yes. Yeah, very
at
much
all,
so.
which was really cool.
In the best way.
In the best way. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the best way. I really liked that a lot. So we also did not finish the session. We've done something we've never done, which was stopped mid-fight.
Reject modernity, embrace tradition.
Yeah. Thank you, K Dolo,
Big
for the
true.
$10.
Thank you, sir.
And yeah, we stopped, had kind of a natural stopping point. This was kind of a cool thing. The Dark Knights of Naraka, I was fighting one of them, Knight of Solamnia versus Dark Knight of Naraka. And the Narakan Knight found out that his magic users had murdered a wounded Knight of Solamnia in his sleep, basically. And so disengaged from me and then disemboweled his magic user friend. And so that we could do a square off and basically just do like a stand and bang fight. But we cut it there because we didn't, it was going to be really, really hard to wrap up. It was very late. And so we're going to pick it up and do another session of that, which is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. It didn't feel like D&D at all. It was awesome. Stormcrow, howdy boys. I'm ashamed to say that I tried making a Weird West campaign with Savage Worlds. I hate it. Can you recommend any systems that allow me to make a Weird West campaign? Yeah, there's a bunch. I don't know if I haven't played Basic Experts Cowpunchers. Mr. Max says it's really cool. That is a good Western rule set. Basic Expert makes good stuff, so I can endorse this without having played it. I don't know if it'd be good for Weird West because I haven't read it. There is also what's the DCC one that John did with Hell Train?
Yeah, I believe it's called Dark Trails, I think. Let me see.
And there's also Wretched Country from
from
the Red Room. The Wretched game system you can get that for free. The core book is now free and on Lulu and I think their own web store. And you can use that. The Wretched Country setting that would cost money. I think it's like $12 or $15. It's super cheap. And they make really, really good stuff. So you could definitely use that. But there is some sort of a DCC variant that I know Crispy was running. I really enjoyed the early period around Huma and DragonLance.
Oh yeah, prior to the Cataclysm, prior to the Age of Despair.
Yeah, and here's Dare to Wonder, who was playing
Weird Frontiers RPG. Sorry,
Weird
that
Frontiers.
is the name. That is the name of the broader Weird West DCC game.
So Dare to Wonder was playing the black-robed wizard Decimus last night, and he's saying here that playing a magic user in this game is not overpowered, which is true. He actually failed several magic checks and succeeded on a bunch of them.
Unfortunate.
But it's also, again, like this was the cool thing about the spell system, is that if you have a touch, like a spell that has a range of touch that costs a magic point to use, and then if you use 2 magic points, you can extend its range, and then you can extend it to more targets. So basically, you can expend a bunch more magical power to expand the effects of the spell that you're using.
Yeah. That's the gimmick for how sorcery works. There's 5 different magic systems in Mythras, and sorcery being sort of the most wizardy, arcane one. And the feel and the vibe of that kind of magical practice is you have access to a number of simple, lower powered spells, but you have maximum flexibility. The more magic points you expend, you can combine things like you were saying. You can extend the duration, combine different spell effects, affect additional targets, increase the range and the radius, increase the duration, up the magnitude so it's more difficult to resist. So it's very, you have a lot of, there's a lot of tactical aspect to it rather than I fire off a lightning bolt again.
Yeah.
A fireball again. A magic missile again.
We got Brother Grognard saying to DM Blockwall, I agree, Dragonlance has a lot of real depth. I agree.
Yeah.
From the little that you've explained to me about it, it sounded really fucking cool.
Yeah, there's
and again, he didn't tell me the plot of the novels.
Yeah, yeah.
He told me about the factions, and I went, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That seems like there's going to be a lot of conflict.
Yeah, and there is all the time.
And there is all the time.
That's
so
why the steel pieces are...
Yeah, so much so that
cool.
the money is made of steel.
Right,
you know?
because there's so much war happening.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Primeval Fantasy, like a million years ago, said, once I went to hit locations, I can never go back. The amorphous blob of hit points sucks in comparison. Yeah, that was the thing. When we first played Cyberpunk, that was the first time I had used hit locations. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. This is more rolls and blah, blah, blah. And the second that I had my leg like shredded, I was like, this is awesome.
DragonLance Draconians.
Well, you shouldn't be playing Draconians.
Yeah, this would be the other thing is
I would
play
use them
humans.
as Wizard Man.
Yeah.
As antagonists.
Right.
With the certain abilities that they have when they die.
And thank you for the $2.
I mentioned web last stream and wondered if you watch it yet.
I mentioned WebDM last stream. I have not yet. We did check out his channel afterwards, but I haven't
did
watched.
subscribe.
Yeah, we did subscribe. I have not really dived in yet, though. And thank you though for that very generous $20.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah,
$20. You're out of your mind,
we
man.
do appreciate it, and you are out of your mind, and we like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but I was instantly sold on hit locations. It was fucking awesome. Shauner saying he doesn't use hit points. I don't know what you use. Possibly
If you get shot, you die.
role play. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, the hit points in Mythras, it's not like you don't go down to 0 and then die. It's like once you start going into the negative range, right, on limbs on a hit location, then you take major wounds. Like these are
Right.
It's a different way of handling things.
Yeah. And again, because the hit points don't go up, like your physical well-being is always at the forefront of your mind.
Yes.
And so having armor, if you can use it,
Right.
maintaining your armor, because armor very easily will get damaged. Because
all of your weapons have armor points and hit points.
Yes.
Like, so they will wear down over time. You have to maintain them. It feels way more real, basically.
And like that alone is going to drastically alter your decision-making process, and it's going to open up opportunities for unexpected and very real, like drama to play out, right? So I really like it.
Yeah, this is the thing where it felt, and I really want to give this a longer try because I did not come up with anything for that character. I just rolled him up and then was like, I'm a knight. I'm gonna go.
Which
be
is
a knight,
fine. It was a one shot.
It was a one shot. But even that though, the feel felt very, like I said, it felt very different than D&D. D&D to me does not feel real in any sense. There's no the verisimilitude is much lower. It's very fun, and I'm having it's like Axe is essentially, in my opinion, like it is D&D. To me, that's the D&D I want to play. And it's it is a lot of fun, but this was different. This was scratching the itch that I've been missing for quite a long time in the games that we've been running and playing. And because even we're playing Prowlers and Paragons, that's a much, especially in comparison to Axe, it's a much lighter system. Oh yeah. But it's much lighter than Mythras. In that game, I'm having a lot of fun, but it still didn't, I don't know, this felt really good. Like this felt really, really good. Right. And And I was like, this is
I like modular spells, but I've always chased the holy grail of a spell-less system, but never found a good one. Have you guys ever come across one that works well?
a spell-less system. I have not. I have tried reading.
I mean, like Mage the Ascension, maybe,
or
but like,
no, Mage the Awakening is the one I was reading.
okay.
And I was like, this doesn't sound fun. So no, I have not. And thank you for the $10, Doc Flamingo.
Thank you, man.
And there are spells in
Or
Mythras.
well, there are spells, but you don't have to use them that way. Ars Magica.
Yeah, and Doc's gonna be
Dungeons and Dragons has a Disney-fied feel.
Dungeons and Dragons has a Disney-fied field.
Yeah,
It can, yeah.
it can.
The thing is, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Different games produce a different experience, and that's fine. It's just this was like way closer to the kind of experience that I want, you know. But I was going to mention here that Doc Flamingo is going to be playing in our Lone Wolf Fist game next week, which is I am looking forward to. So I will have the rules figured out by then. But thank you, man, for the 2 Canadian didgeridoos.
Australian.
Oh, it's Australian. Okay, even better.
Yep.
How are you not talking upside down? Why can I read your text? I don't get it. Are you in your gravity harness right now? It's modern Disney. Yeah, modern D&D is definitely modern Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Superhero magic systems usually work on a power pool where you can whip up what you need when you need it. Yeah, I mean, Prowlers and Paragons does allow you to kind of mimic the effects of other powers.
Yeah, I mean, the way it works in that is like a lot of powers, not all of them, but a lot of them are very abstracted out, so as not to have 1,000 pages worth of here's every permutation of this like one thing. It's like, especially your ranged offensive power, it's just blast. Whether you're firing arcane bolts like Doctor Strange, or fireballs like Human Torch, or whatever it is that Iron Man fires out of his suit, you can tailor it, but it's a ranged attack.
Yeah. Night Danger saying, I might have to check out BRP. I've long wanted to do a post-apocalyptic game that A, isn't nuclear fallout inspired, but also B, doesn't have psychics, mutants, and gonzo shit. Yeah, it would be great. It would be really good for that. Yeah. The thing I will say is, when we played BRP, it's very similar hit locations, all the same mechanics for combat, essentially, with different on like the multiple actions per round thing. That's neither here nor there. Firearms feel very different than melee. Like, yes, it feels very very different. You can't
parry a bullet.
Yeah, and it should feel different because they are fundamentally different weapons and paradigms of combat, essentially. But that was something I was kind of thinking, because this was like feeling for fantasy. I was like, this is fucking awesome, and I didn't get that feeling necessarily from BRP with firearms. But we'll see, because I'm still thinking about that.
And I think we should probably also do another reread of the Friday Night Firefight chapter in Cyberpunk 2020.
Yeah.
Because, again, I haven't looked at it since we played that last session, last summer. But that is it's not a percentile-based system, but it is a skill-based system, hit point or hit location combat system that has been designed from the ground up for aggressive firefights and modern combat.
Yeah, and Mythras Imperative also has firearms rules in it as well. Yes. And Mythras Imperative is like a stripped down version of Mythras that is free and published under the Orc license. So if you want to make games with it, you can. BRP is also Orc licensed now entirely. But yeah, I would definitely check out BRP. It's a really good system. But again, it's more of a build your own game toolkit, because it's optional systems for different genres all put into one big thing. And you have to, if you're going to play BRP, you have to specify to the people playing with you which rules.
Right. You can't really play it out of the box, because the box is just a toolbox.
Right.
Also, brief tangent. on that point, when we have Frank on again, he's been working on his own game, which is a post-apocalyptic. It has zombies, but it's not just about zombies. It's really interesting. Called what's he calling it? Tomorrow Black.
Ooh.
It sounds really cool.
Frank is awesome, by the way. Go check out our how to play Vampire the Masquerade live stream we did with Frank. Really good dude.
Yeah. I was talking with him earlier today.
Yeah. Don't use armor points either.
Interesting.
I never read any of the Dragonlance, but Larry Elmore art was all solid gold. Yes, it was. Let me see here. You were a Solamnic knight, for fuck's sake. Yeah, exactly. I don't really know what it means to be a knight of Solamnia, but I was one, and I was going to avenge my fallen brother.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. It's not as fun as playing a magic user in this game, in my opinion, but you feel useful everywhere else. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something for everybody. And again, rules is written, Mythras combat and magic are such that there isn't anything stopping you from being like a wizard and rocking, chainmail and a halberd.
Yeah.
That was altered because of the Dragonlance world for this one shot. The conclave of sorcerers have their own strictures.
What do you think of it, Greenwood? Seems like an affable guy. Also, what do you think of his videos? End of quote. Repeat the line, pause.
That was good.
I don't care for Ed Greenwood.
Yeah, me neither.
I think
I hate the Forgotten Realms.
The Forgotten Realms suck, and the more he talks about the Forgotten Realms and his
the
ideas,
less I like it.
The less I like it.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I was right. I
knew
your
I
ideas
was right.
are terrible.
Yeah.
God, he tweeted today. I want to find it. It's some poem, and it's the worst dog shit haiku poem. I want to see if I can find it.
I'm sorry. I hate the fucking way he looks.
Yeah.
This stupid long ass wizard beard.
Yeah.
Like the
I'm sure
George
he is
R.
an affable guy, but that doesn't mean I like him.
Wearing suspenders. It's just like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Why can't you
So
be
I
better?
have no reason to hate him other than I don't like the way he looks and I don't like the Forgotten Realms. Dare to wonder.
hold on.
My favorite moment was the PC that helped us on the excuse me, I can't read. My favorite moment was when the PC that helped us was one bad roll away from dying, and the roll was made by Ginger Fraser.
I actually like low magic spell user systems that have non-obvious utility type spells that force you to be creative to be effective.
Yeah.
That's in Mythras.
Yeah. Most of the spells in Mythras are essentially utility spells. It's not Fireball, Lightning Bolt, I keep saying the ones everybody knows. Magic Missile, Scorching Ray. And were this a full campaign, what I would do, and actually what I really want to do, is, again, do what the book says, and I would work out what kind of spells would you have access to because you are working with this mentor, because you're going through this group. They have a certain philosophy and a certain approach. Not everybody, just because there are X number of spells in the book doesn't mean that they exist everywhere at all times.
Yeah.
Like it is the case in Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And I just want to say this poem.
Yeah, please.
I don't know what this is in reference to, but the Mad King, he had a dungeon, a great big strong one. Its portcullis were rusty, its walls of bedrock thick. Its prisoners never ever saw the distant sun, and if they sat in a handy layer of not fresh blood, they'd stick. What even the fuck is that? That's That doesn't rhyme. There's like, first of all, what are you talking about? This is. I hate Ed Greenwood.
That's our opinion on
Yeah.
Ed Greenwood. Mythras Classic Fantasy has D&D classes. Yes.
Yes, it does. And it surprisingly works pretty well. I haven't run it, but I do have the PDF.
Yeah. Oh, and Doc Flamingo asked if it's a sword and sandals type game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can do sword and sandals up to like Dark Age, Iron Age, like time period. Out the box perfectly.
And what is the general power level of Mythras?
Well, you're never going to get to like a D&D, like a 20th level D&D character in power, like in terms of like your survivability, right?
Right.
Because your hit points don't go up.
It's going to be more gritty and more grounded.
It'll be more gritty and more grounded. However, again, because this game is more focused on character incentives and more focused on like world implications for things like magic, let's say, you can be more of like a Thulsa Doom like character at a higher level of power, because a lot of the spells, especially Theism, which is sort of your divine casting, and sorcery, which is more like your typical arcane casting, they're much more powerful, and their implications and their effects can be broader. But you're not going to be as survivable, let's say, as a D&D character, and your combat skills can continue to go up. You can go above 100 on a skill, and there's rules for what that means. If someone with a skill of higher than 100 is doing an opposed roll with someone who is not that high, two people who have skills that are over 100, what does that mean? So you can get to like this sort of Clash of the Titans, like Jason and the Argonauts type level, or like Arthurian Knights of the Round Table, these sort of mythic heroes, but they're not going to be superheroes.
Yeah.
Like a 13th, 14th plus, 5e or Pathfinder character is going to be.
Yeah. That system good for playing in Greyhawk? Probably not. Greyhawk is pretty D&D, I think. I don't know much about Greyhawk, but it was Gygax's campaign, so I imagine it probably fits the genre better.
I do know, or at least I think that I know, that there's a lot of emphasis, because again, it is, as you say, it's Gygax's setting. There is more of like an emphasis on like nobility and like political and military struggles between nobles and houses and kingdoms and whatnot. So perhaps, I don't know. I've never played in Greyhawk.
Mythras Classic Fantasy could be even better fit for D&D settings. It's designed around that.
Yeah, very much so.
I'd say level 1 to 3 of D&D characters. Dragonlance and Dark Sun are two of the most creative settings made by TSR. Yeah. Dark Sun's really cool. This I don't know if this would be a good fit for Dark Sun. It is deadly, and Dark Sun is very, very deadly. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure. I haven't read Dark Sun in a long time.
Yeah, I really couldn't say.
Yeah.
I know what the vibe and the base, the high level premise is, but I've never really done anything with it.
But now Dragonlance hasn't been completely changed, and who is the hero is a diverse girl who is a crazy militant.
Ugh.
Yeah, well, we're talking about actual Dragonlance.
Right.
We played the Dragonlance modules, DL 1 through 8, I think. There were 13 in all. Damn, that's a lot of modules.
Yeah.
And Planescape. I don't know. I go back and forth on Planescape.
I've actually soured on my opinion of Planescape.
Yeah.
Recently. It is definitely weird and creative. That is for sure. But again, I've only played the video game. I've read some of the materials, which I have also found online.
Right.
But I've never ran it, and I've never played in it. I've never played in a game in like Sigil.
Yeah. Any opinions on if Mythras is better than Legend?
I'm not familiar with
Not
Legend.
familiar, so I don't have an opinion
I'll
on
have
that.
to look into it though.
Didn't bother with the modules. Doesn't surprise me, Sean. I'll be interested to hear why they think this is the best setting ever. Seems to me there could be a lot of really good settings, but these guys are never wrong, so we'll see. Yeah,
Yep.
So the basic breakdown is it is not, there's no irony. It is a sincere,
Right.
good versus evil setting. Like, people believe in good, they believe in evil. There are multiple excellent factions that all have their own goals. They're all conflicting goals. There is war, there is drama. For Dungeons and Dragons, there are dragons in it.
Yes.
And it's got a lot more, it has a lot of character to it, and it's just it's not a good fit for D&D for that reason.
Yes.
Because it's a much better setting for a game, less of a war game and more of a I almost said personal horror. That's just the darkness stuff coming through, my roots coming through, but much more of an immersive character driven experience.
Yeah,
basically.
very much so. And again, because the world is much more complex in a good and believable way, and not based on like this, like the artifice of like the game components. Like the setting doesn't feel like it's trying to fit itself into a box to match like the mechanics of a certain edition of D&D. But this is one of the few settings where, again, you don't need to read or know this, but like the timeline, the history, actually is engaging, and everything not only makes sense, but you can see, oh, I understand this event happened, which led to this, which led to this, and that's why we're here now.
Right,
It's
it
not,
matters to your character
it actually
and to the game.
matters.
Yeah, it's not just like lore, like a lore dump that your DM is giving you that nobody gives a fuck about.
Yeah,
and
it
that
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not like that. Like the lore actually does matter.
Yeah, you don't need to know it, but it
Right.
actually is interesting, and it
Informs,
is relevant to you.
Yeah, it informs the game you're going to be playing. Thank God Wizards didn't have the courage to work with Dark Sun because it offends feelings and sensibilities. Yeah, I know, that's the thing. Like anytime that they're bringing back these things, they're burying it in the pet cemetery. It's coming back as like a ghoul, something evil that hates you and is malicious. So it is good that Dark Sun is off the table for them.
Yes.
You could play as characters from the books, and we loved that. Everyone fought over Raceland, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, for the modules. I understand why they did that.
Yeah, right.
It was a very good product idea, but they
Yeah.
also hired Margaret Weiss and was it
Tracy
Tracy Hickman, and they created something really fucking cool that
Yeah.
apart from those stories and apart from the modules, was compelling on its own.
Yeah.
But not a particularly good fit for D&D.
Right. Something else that you got, this was, DragonLance was devised in the mid 80s. And certainly, like Tolkien-esque fantasy, Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings is a big thematic through line for D&D. And it definitely is its own thing, but I think that Dragonlance is the best like evolution of sort of that vein of inspiration.
Yeah, it's because the
If
Tolkien
you want to do it
thing-
that way.
Yeah, because the Tolkien thing versus versus pulp, they're completely different. Like Tolkien was doing
Yes.
myth,
Right.
basically.
And this is more mythic.
This
It
is
is
more
not
mythic.
pulp.
It's not pulp at
Yeah.
all. Again, a reason why D&D is a bad fit for it. D&D is for pulp. Came out of pulp,
Right.
which is cool.
Yeah.
We like pulp.
Yes. But they're not the same.
But they're
thing.
not the same thing. They're not matched well. If you played Dragonlance in 3E, you need the setting book. I would not play 3E.
No, nor would I.
Yeah.
Although I did have the setting book.
Young Steve, grow a mustache.
I can, but I don't know if I will.
You should definitely grow a beard.
Grow a beard?
Yeah.
I can only do the goatee, though.
I feel like it'd be a strong goatee because
Yeah?
you have 5 o'clock shadow every time I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I assume that you shaved that day, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those Italian gorilla genes really coming through.
Maybe.
I played Sturm.
Nice.
You guys should also try Mythras Classic Fantasy for D&D style fantasy. Maybe, but here's one of the things is I have all these games, like a bunch of them I've played. Some of them I have not. And right now, my meat potatoes game that I'm running is Axe. And I'm having a lot of fun with that. And I don't think that I'm going to get a better D&D style experience out of a different system than I am out of Axe.
Yeah.
It's really, really good at that. And I want to use Mythras for something else, for like a different purpose.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is like I was saying, just like time. I have my meat and potatoes game. I'm playing in a game that Nick is running. We're alternating weeks. And then now I'm running games during the week with the locals community. And this is giving me an opportunity to test and play a bunch of the games that I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. But, was never...
There's never the
like,
time.
never
or
the time or
right
like
fit
we just,
for it.
yeah, or the right fit for it. So I'm trying a lot of different stuff right now.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Right. Delaying my run to catch this, expecting good things. Well, you're goddamn right, patriot of patriotism. Dragonlance proves your setting does not need all the races or all the monsters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big proponent of just having humans being the only playable race in like every game.
But if you want to use elves or dwarves, Dragonlance has the best elves and dwarves because they're not just elves and dwarves. You have very specific different cultures. Qualinesti elves, Sylvanesti, Kaganesti. They all have very different worldviews, different opinions on history and the different races. You have multiple different cultures and histories of dwarves. Those are really the big ones.
Yeah.
There are gnomes, but who fucking cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Who cares? Gnomes suck.
Dare to Wonder saying, I found that the backgrounds in D&D, when they make sense with the classes, which is rarely, can help role-playing. Yeah, and I mean,
I believe that.
I think that, like, Mythras and other games, like, this doesn't necessarily have a life path, but it does have life of, like, background events.
Mm-hmm.
They're vague enough that it's not...
It's a story hook for you.
It's a story hook for you.
Yeah.
They're vague enough, but there is a little specificity with them that is pretty cool. Like the two background events I got was like, when I was a child, my friend was injured and I like left him basically because we were going to get in trouble or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he never came home. And when I went back to where he was gone. And I never told anyone. It's like, that doesn't shape, this isn't like, oh, here, like, the DM, I'm now expecting to run into my missing childhood friend. No, it's just like it's a small detail about the character and the person. And a lot of games don't really give you very good background details. Not very interesting background details.
Yes.
Because you can come up with something about that on your own. It's enough of a seed.
Right. And in Mythras, you don't have to use it. I didn't use it for the pre-gen characters, but there are rules to determine the social class and the history of your family, how many siblings you have, where are your parents, what's going on there. Again, giving you not only a good anchor for a character, but a family and a history and a lineage.
Mm-hmm. Primeval says, I've never read an explanation for why RuneQuest has a size attribute separate from strength. Size should be derived from strength plus perhaps health. But then Dare to Wonder said, nah, tons of big people are weak and tons of small people punch way above their weight class. Look at Bruce Lee. I'm pretty sure I could beat up Bruce Lee. He was like 135 pounds. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'd snap him in half.
Yep.
Classes no longer matter in 5e. There are too many of them, and nothing is really limiting a class any longer. Yeah,
I
can't
believe
like
that.
everybody cast spells?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. But people writing D&D today hate the notion of chivalry, honor, and feudalism. That's
Yes.
true. That's why all the scenes look like a gayer version of San Francisco.
Which is saying something.
Yeah. The hell? I got an ad. Oh, you gotta get YouTube Premium, man. Or an ad blocker. we are big supporters of ad blockers. Well, that is certainly niche. Let me see here. Look to Deadlands. They took horror and sci-fi and mixed it well with the Old West for the Weird West guy.
Yeah. I've heard about Deadlands, never never played it.
Bum. Let's look down here a little bit. DragonLance was the first open setting for D&D. It is the dividing line for me on old school and the newer stuff. I wonder what he means from an open setting. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
If
that.
you're still watching, please clarify your comment. Gygax and Arneson had Conan and Fafhrd in mind when making D&D. There's a canyon's worth of separation between pulp fantasy and Dragonlance. Exactly.
Right. Yep.
Exactly. It was a good product idea, but again, it was not the right setting for the right game from the perspective of me wanting to play a role-playing game. It was a good business decision, obviously. Yes. Epic NPCs go a long way towards establishing flavoring, giving your campaign distinction from other games. And real role players don't need meta carrots at all. Yes. That is correct, Primeval.
Yes.
That is 100% correct. What I need is an interesting premise.
Yeah. If you need to be put in the Pavlov box,
Right.
there's a problem.
Yeah.
Or the Skinner box, whatever the hell it is.
I don't know.
Whoever that guy was.
Who cares? Is that a goal in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me?
Yeah.
Institutions are the gear shaft of a setting. Engine is larger than life NPCs. Correct.
Yeah.
I agree with that. The institutions, the way the law works, the factions, the people who hate each other and who have opposed goals that are not aligned. This is where you get conflict.
Right.
And your characters will have goals that will be not in alignment with everyone else in the world. So even if you're just running into NPCs, you're going to have problems. But even within the party, we were talking about this right before we started today. It was like, what I was trying to think of a time outside of this BRP one shot we ran the other week where Nick tried diving through a window and died, broke his neck. I'm trying to think of a time when someone died in one of my campaigns where it wasn't the player characters killing each other.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, well, no. My Lion and Dragon TPK,
That is true.
it was their fault, but
Yes.
they were killed by NPCs. They say it's my fault. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
But almost
true.
every other time that I've had a player character die in my games, it's always been the other players killing their character for some reason. Because
Yeah.
the characters...
The role playing the characters.
Right, they're role-playing
Yes.
the characters, and it came to that. Most recently, you were not present for this, but your character in our Wretched Epoch game got
yeah.
murdered
Oh, yeah.
because you missed a week, and Hallie killed your character. Because institutions with boring people is just dull. That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
You want, and larger-than-life characters as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also within the constraints of genre, obviously. The multiple magic systems in Mythras is muy bien.
Yeah, they're all really cool.
Yeah. I think the reason why Dragonlance is often viewed so negatively is because it goes against the assumed gameplay loop of D&D. Correct. Yes, this is what we were saying, which is supposed to simulate the Appendix N. Right. So it definitely doesn't fit in Appendix N. It doesn't fit the gameplay loop that was developed for that. So it doesn't fit.
Yes.
Very correct idea. I think I'd rather party with Hunter than Joe, to be honest. Yeah. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
I know. Every time that they're like, oh my God, new videos of Hunter Biden smoking crack and
like-
slapping prostitutes. I'm like, Like,
That's
you
like-
don't have to keep selling me on this guy. Like,
Yes. A very uneventful day in his life.
right. It's only good for a very specific type of character. Oh, man. Were we on
shit.
time? Yes, we were. They were a minute early. Wow. 1 minute early. You're goddamn right. Rules are meant to be broken for fun. I don't think so.
I disagree.
Maybe in real life.
Bad rules should be broken.
Yes, bad rules should be thrown in the trash.
Yes. In the service of making
Good rules.
which
Yeah.
are consistent and thematically appropriate. But
Right.
I'm definitely not of the opinion that I vehemently disagree with the rule of cool.
I do too.
From like a philosophical, like
Yes.
it just shows that you don't care, like
Yeah.
at a certain level,
Yeah,
right?
100%. I've already digested the mechanics for it.
Nice.
Broken rules are meant to be fun. Rules are tools for expression. That's the important thing to remember. Maybe.
DragonLance also gets a lot of Seinfeld shade. Let me tell you, Jack, Seinfeld was a bad dude.
Thank you, John Smith, for the $5.
Seinfeld.
John is also going to be running a game in our locals.
Yeah.
A 4th edition D&D game.
Yeah, he's gonna show us why it is the best edition of D&D.
Right. And he really knows the system, knows how to actually run it and play it. And so we're going to make some characters and we're going to play 4E. And
Yeah.
we're going to find out.
And I'm not facetious about that. At this point, like,
I know.
I really dislike all the editions of D&D that I have played for different reasons.
Uh-huh.
It would not surprise me.
The design mechanism has a mass combat supplement called Shields and Shield Walls and is compatible with Mythras, and it is awesome as
Oh,
well.
nice. This is for mass combat
Fuck
then.
yeah.
Yeah, the design mechanism is they're the company that makes Mythras. They're so good.
Yeah.
They're so fucking good.
We are fans. Go get this book.
Yeah. If only they weren't British.
Sorry, Ships and Shield Walls. That makes sense. Playing Decimus was fun.
Hell yeah.
It actually felt like D&D for me, but very loosely. Okay. Brother Grognard is a big proponent of the Cypher system, which I've never played.
I like the Cypher system. It is a very different vibe. Very, very different vibe. But that works well in the only game I've used it for, which is Numenera. And I really do like Numenera a lot. I'll have to run that as a one-shot at some point.
Lots of stuff about Weird West games. Let me see here. I think it's different enough. I remember hit locations and damage affecting limbs and drawing cards for character generation, none of which is in Savage Worlds.
This is Deadlands?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I use hit location with a deck of cards for the hit. Interesting. Mythras has cards of some kind, right? Combat cards or something?
They might have. I think they do sell like combat cards, but I believe it just they're not condition cards, but I think they're like player aids. I may be wrong.
Hit points are cringe. Back in the early days, Dave Arneson would make players tell a story to make a saving throw. Interesting.
Ah,
Shauner plays Traveler, so your stats just degrade until you die. Armor reducing damage, not preventing hits, is far better. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it just the advantage though of armor class being the catch-all abstraction is that it's very fast. Like,
right, for like your standard D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much, you just die in the game. I've lost so many eyes due to hit location system. I love it. Yeah, I mean, Nick's axe character
Yep.
has had an eye plucked out and an ear cut off. So I got to remember to factor that into your surprise rolls. I'm sure there's a penalty to that.
Did I lose an ear? I know I lost an eye.
You lost an ear, yeah.
I've been forgetting
You got fucked up pretty bad a couple of times.
I did. But now I have like 11 different glass eyes that
That's
I found
true.
from the dungeon.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
so was worth it.
It was worth it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to walk around with a weird black sclera
Yeah,
eye?
it's like
yeah.
whatever whoever the bad guy was in Last Action Hero.
Yeah. And so that is from the Axe Mortal Wounds tables,
right.
which are really cool. But this was the problem that we had with the Mortal Wounds system in that game, was that you roll all of this after combat, once you're stabilized by someone.
Yeah.
And then you find out what the hit location was. And I don't like that. I just want the hit location to be like right when we do the attack, we're role playing the entire time.
The injury happened back then.
Yeah.
It shouldn't change
Yeah.
later. If I've described this scene.
Right. If I've been beheaded, I have been beheaded.
Yeah. And I know that.
And I know that.
Yes. We all saw it
The guy
happen.
that killed Mozart.
The guy that killed Mozart. Did Salieri only have one eye?
I'm not up on my
I don't know.
my
I don't even know.
Mozart
I
lore.
mean, Mozart died of disease or something, but I'm
That
just
sounds
going
right.
off of the movie that I saw about Mozart. Not any actual knowledge of history. Hit locations are a must, yes. I'd like to make a magic user that was more tuned to combat.
Okay. I mean, you definitely
Yeah.
can do that.
You know, the one thing that made my fighter character feel more immersive is making him into a vampire. Not in the rules. If you enjoy hit locations with possible instant death, may I suggest WFRP?
Okay. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Ah, okay. Easy D6. D&D is the theme park ride.
True.
For the magic systems that are not tied to spells, Mage, either form, has an outstanding magic system in my opinion, but you definitely have to put in some work for it to flow well. Correct. And that
Yeah.
was work I was not willing to put in.
Yeah. A friend of mine shared with me years ago the 20th anniversary edition for Mage of the Ascension, and I saw the page count and I closed it and I said no. I will not read even a tenth of this.
5e became D&D with the bumpers on. Iron
Yeah.
Man fires repulsor rays.
Right.
Why don't you know that, Nick?
Actually,
God damn it. Twilight 2000 is good for non-nuclear apocalypse.
where are the heating coils sourced from?
Yeah.
Where does he get the cobalt for his suit?
A system that has effects you can create on the fly, but doesn't have a set of pre-made lists or force you to construct one to keep playing moving. Oh, he's responding to
for
Rex Teal. Sorry.
Mage?
They're having a conversation about spell lists.
Yeah.
Okay. I was considering Cyberpunk and Interlock just because Pondsmith got firearms down to a science. Yeah, we should really go over those again.
Yeah. I should do another, or you can.
I do,
but
like
I would
Mike
like to.
Pondsmith.
I would like to run another
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
I'd like to continue that game if we can
I
get
would
it
like
going.
to continue that game
Yeah.
too.
We were having a good time.
It should be a game that we only play during the summertime because it's
It's
Miami.
Blood and Sunshine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Artel Sorian did publish Just Friday Night Firefight as a skirmish game with no RPG elements. You can find the PDF via Google. Interesting.
Ah,
I
okay.
wonder if that is going to be orc licensed.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know what our Talsorian stance is on.
Licensing,
I don't
yeah.
know.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
BRP is Linux, yeah. It is. It's hard to balance guns because they're so overpowered in real life. Well, that's how they should be in the game, too. Like, this is the thing. Like,
Right.
getting shot fucking sucks. You have arteries everywhere. Bullets move throughout your body, not in predictable ways. If you're shot with a rifle in the chest, you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like, one round, a rifle through the chest, you're probably going to die. And it should be like that. This is why when people start pulling out guns and RPGs, it's like, someone's going to die.
Yes.
Like, it's a risky
Yeah.
fucking thing to do. Check out Twilight 2000 for non-gonzo post-apocalypse. Yep. Oh my God. Did we get... No, I thought we were at the end. We're not. Ed Greenwood will never live down answering a question on Discord about the taste of drow breast milk with full sincerity and attention to detail. This is why I don't like it. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me at all that he would take that question.
Yeah.
And not realize until halfway through of his own, like, revealed preferences.
Yeah. Also, again, why we don't like Ed Greenwood.
Yeah. Freaks out.
Yeah. The Forgotten Realms are overwritten and excessively detailed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Typical,
if only they were forgotten.
Typical Elminster hater. Yeah.
I am an Elminster hater.
He also turned Elminster into a chick for half the book. It is his fetish.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Making them useless as a setting. What did Blackwell say something about up here? Oh, yeah. The Forgotten Realms are overwritten and excessively detailed, making them useless as a setting. Correct.
Yeah.
It's not the Forgotten Realms, it's the Remembered Realms. I think it's the Forgettable Realms.
It is the Forgettable Realms.
Or the Forgotten Realms, as in furries. Drow breast milk tastes bitter and angry. I concur with your assessment of Ed Greenwood. Nice. And again, from our Mythras game, 2 of my spells were useful and 2 were quite situational. True. If you can't do anything with large amounts of money in games, what's the point?
Right.
I want to / want you to, if I'm the referee, to go hard on domain play, influence and change the current narrative. Yes.
Right.
So, and this is one the thing where Axe has so much shit for you to dump money into, especially when you start, garrisoning a region with troops and raising armies, supplying armies. Losing battles is not great. Having your domain get pillaged, making your domain better, improving it through creating urban settlements. And, well, I mean, obviously we can argue about whether creating an urban settlement is going to be an improvement or not. But raising the land value, like all of this stuff, there's so much that you have to dump money into. And if you want to do those things, you need to go get money. You need to go get gold. And so there is the incentive to do that, but I don't.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like I don't need the carrot for me to want to go out and conquer the world. The advantage of Axe for me is that I have systems where I can do that and resolve it, and I don't have to just pull something out of my ass.
Right.
It's like it's in the same way that I have detailed rules for combat, I have detailed rules for managing and expanding a domain and all this other stuff. So that's the cool part of it.
Right. And that works. That is the case in the reverse as well. Let's say we go down to a dungeon and we get 10,000 gold pieces. This isn't the modern day where I can deposit $10,000 into a bank account. I can go to my nearby TD bank and I can open an account and put my money in there. I'm going to have to spend it on something.
Right.
Or
and if I do want to store it, I might have to build a castle.
Something.
Yeah.
Right. I have that's
to store
what
my
I
gold.
Need.
Yeah.
Right. Again, there's no Fort Knox.
Or take a castle. Hear me out.
Yeah. Why build it?
Yeah, why build it?
We have a perfectly good castle at home.
Exactly. True, if you can't make anything... Yeah, okay, so that's what we just said. D&D beat poetry. Ed Greenwood thing, yeah. Narrative, hire goons, start a cult, start a spy network, set bigger goals, pick up a drug habit, gain advantage for the coming conflicts, etc. If you're taking bigger risks, roll up a new PC. Yeah.
You need to be domain maxing.
Yeah. For very large amounts of money in the game, it should have some uses and or influence on what's going on in the scenario and campaign.
Right.
Correct. The game I'm working on currently has different spells sets you get access to depending on the type of power you are drawing from. Cool.
Nice.
Forgotten Realms makes the mistake of having canonical characters that you aren't supposed to kill and rob. Yeah.
That's the least of their problems, though.
Well, and this is one of the reasons I liked Baldur's Gate so much was we caused a race riot and Volo died in it.
Yeah. There probably isn't, but I wonder if you can kill Elminster. That would be my goal. I would pick that game up tonight. If
I don't know.
If there's a way to if there is a way you can play your cards right to be able to assault Elminster.
You probably can because you can see him on the trail.
That is true. Yeah, what happens if you just
he
launch
probably
a fireball?
Fucking kills you.
Yeah, he probably fucks
just
you up at
annihilate.
that level.
Yeah.
Which that's fine and fair, but but
I want to try.
Yes.
But maybe I can.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
In a world with important people, whatever happens for the players, infallibly the only agency available is to kill those characters. Yes.
Yes.
Correct. If there are invisible walls, they must be torn down.
I saw someone.
That is
remember
the only choice that has any meaning at that point.
Right. I don't recall who it was, but someone on Twitter said for many players, character creation is the last moment of agency they'll ever have in a game.
Yeah. It is its own game. The city of Sigil was very interesting.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
That is true.
Common J was told not to play and enjoy Dark Sun by leftists.
According to the internet, you can kill Elminster.
Oh, shit.
Well, I know what I know what I need to do.
Oh, man. Thank you for that $2.
Thank
That is an
you.
extremely valuable $2 that was just given to us. Thank you, K Dolo. We definitely have to kill Elminster. Planescape is excellent for brief excursions with a GM with a real vision and feel for it. A longer campaign demystifies and ruins it. That would be a problem.
Yeah.
That would be a big problem.
Well, and this is like a problem I have with the broader planes in general, with like Planescape.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Sigil, at least, is
Do you want another, Croy?
Please.
Yeah.
It's something. It's a setting, for lack of a better word, that I can understand, and has built-in story hooks and built-in drama, and it is very weird and it is very unique and interesting. As far as I've been able to determine, all of the different outer planes, Gehenna and Mechanus, Nirvana, all these places, there isn't the level of like detail in the setting or to those places that makes it seem to me as anything more than like a gimmick environment. I'm going into this different themed room. Now I'm going to hell for the next 6 sessions, and now we're going to
which hell? There's 9 of them.
Right? Yeah. Which it's like now we're going to I can't even fucking remember.
The
going to
demiplane
of who
darkness
fucking
yeah.
cares. Like they're surface level and boring. I don't even want to use these places. And so
Planescape always felt more like cover art for prog metal than it did for a playable setting. Yeah. I really think that D&D is its own thing, neither pulp nor Tolkien, but a mashup of the two. Yeah, probably. I mean, there's definitely Tolkien influences in it. D&D is its own thing. You know, that's cool. I'm fine with that.
It should be.
It should be. Backgrounds and backstories have always been less interesting than character goals. I don't care what you've done. I want to know what you are currently trying to do. Exactly. But here's my thing. Your backstory can create a goal for you. And that should be the purpose of a backstory, is to give you
good backstory,
a goal, to have stakes, something at stake already.
Because you did exist prior to session 1.
Right.
Right. So properly understood and properly implemented, a backstory is I'm very much in favor of.
Yes. And this is, I have a video from back, 10 years ago on here. It's probably called Making Better Characters for D&D or something along those lines. But it's overly long, and, it's in my old ridiculous apartment that's full of like the office was full of so much shit. That's neither here nor there. But the content of that video basically was breaking down this backstory for this character that I had made. And the character backstory was fairly long. And the reason for that was because the character was old. He was in the twilight of his life.
Right.
But he came into the game with something really big at stake. And the reason was because like we had, again, this was like the ideal way of creating and starting a game. This is the German George's town building game where he came to us, pitched an idea of like, I want to do this thing. And within the Ring of Fire, where basically there's this new settlement that it's a bunch of different species and races, kind of everything's up for grabs a little bit, but it's whatever you guys make of it. It's going to like, you can turn it into an empire or, you know, or not, do whatever you want with it. We were all like, this is deeply compelling. We have all these really interesting races, these really interesting factions, and everybody independently, we didn't talk to each other. We came up with our own character concepts, pitched them to the GM to see if it was like a good fit. And he said yes. And my character came in with like, he basically had to make this settlement succeed or his whole family was going to get sold into slavery. And there was a backstory for that. But that was immediately, he had stakes, he had goals.
Right.
And everyone else had goals. None of us knew what our goals were. They were all kind of kept secret from each other. So we have these, you know, they were all ultimately, a lot of them were going to be in conflict. God, I wish that game hadn't fallen apart.
I know.
It was such a good premise. German George, if you're watching this, please.
Yeah. You know what to do.
Yeah, let's redo that game.
So many of those games were the best.
They were the best. It was lightning in a bottle because
it really was.
we had a huge community of people who were all on the exact same page about we're doing immersive gaming, and and all of this stuff. Like we didn't have to think of these like what's the process, what are the steps to have a good game. It was just everybody did this independently.
Yeah,
and it was always fucking
it
awesome.
really was like the prototypical like you know, a previous incarnation, and to a broader group of people, for what Mr. Max and Crispy and 28mm are doing with
the 4D thing.
4D thing. They're taking it. Their ideas are more codified and thought out with regards to certain procedures and certain behaviors, but this like community of people who understand what immersive roleplay is, and we're trying to do that.
Yeah.
And everything else that we do, we're trying to like streamline it and maximize the efficiency for immersion, for character immersion.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was but that was how all those games were run, and everybody had different goals.
I would love to see Mr. Max. I know he hates Within the Ring of Fire. Challenge to Mr. Max to run Within the Ring of Fire in the 4-dimensional playstyle.
Yeah. You must do it. Darren Wonder, who lives in Tel Aviv, I believe, by the way. Buddy, the gayer version of San Francisco is called Tel Aviv. I will eat my shoe whenever WotC adds a non-magical utility class to D&D. They won't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Your shoe is safe.
Yeah. I just want to come back to what Night Danger said again. This is the key. And this is the key for me for having immersive roleplay, is that everyone has goals and pursues them. And you shouldn't know what everyone else's goals are up front. That will emerge through play, and your goals will change through play. It's all organic, but it's just so fucking important. Do not rely on the DM to throw out the meat for you to just sit there and passively consume. You know, you drive the game, and your game master will absolutely love that. When everybody is doing this, when everyone's in the driver's seat of their character, it's going to make the game come to life, and wacky, unexpected things are going to happen.
So much better and so much easier for everybody.
For everybody. And you don't need the system to tell you
Right.
a goal. You don't need the mechanics to do this for you.
Right,
It's
because-
good if it is built in that way, that where the
Right.
mechanics support the genre, support the theme. That is a very good thing. And there are a lot of good mechanics that like Hunger Dice and Vampire, and there's lots of different examples of things. They are great. However, if you are not able to select goals
Yeah.
and pursue them on your own, you are
None of it
fucking
matters if you're
hopeless.
trash.
Yeah. Like, this is the thing. If you can't do that on your own, if you cannot bring your own carrot, if you cannot create your own reward loop, you have no hope.
You've already failed.
You've already failed.
Yeah.
So learn to do that, everyone. And thank you, Night Danger, for that excellent insight. Weight divisions exist to protect larger, stronger fighters from smaller and faster characters.
Yeah, for this, I'm assuming this is the size.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I was saying yesterday when explaining size, like, you know, if I worked out every day, if I took boxing lessons, if I it dedicated my life to being an MMA fighter, Andre the Giant is still going to be stronger than me if
100%
Yeah.
of the time.
if he has never been to the gym in his life.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to. He is Andre the Giant,
Yeah.
right? Your size matters, even if you are not strong per se. The mass that you have, like, to bring to bear is
Right.
Can be significant.
If memory serves, Tracy Hickman was working with the rules when he had the time, but wanted something to teach ethos.
Interesting. I have not heard that.
Yeah, I don't know. Connects Room, good to see you, man.
yeah,
I
good to
apologize
see
if I say your name wrong. I was a teenager when DragonLance was new. AD&D was the system of the day. It was a fine fit for the setting. Power creep was less prevalent in official modules.
I believe that. I'm sure it was less egregious at the time, because also, like, AD&D didn't have certain classes which are default now, or
Oh yeah,
they were
but-
not considered. This doesn't negate our point, but definitely AD&D would have been better, I guess, in terms of.
Yeah,
like,
but I think
like,
using like RuneQuest would have been a better choice for DragonLance.
Oh, yeah, it would have been.
at the time.
Yes.
But I get it,
right.
and it was literally made for the D&D line for the purpose of money, which is commendable.
Mm-hmm.
What's Dare to Wonder saying here? Oh my God, it's like what I told Howard. We were trying to make guys get along. I don't know what that's in reference to. The table or groups playstyle was a much more powerful determinant of fit for the rules. It wasn't perfect, but it allowed D&D to grow. Okay, that makes sense. Dragonlance was the first D&D open world. Okay, this is clarifying that
Okay,
comment from
yeah.
earlier. Go anywhere, do anything. There were small worlds before that, and most everything was a delve. Dragonlance was a massive world from the get-go. Okay.
Well, that is like an unmitigated good. That's like objectively better.
But the old school people will say it's bad because you want to push through and discover the setting and create the setting as you're going on, and that's,
Yeah, that's
part of the
wrong.
game.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
There's still so much empty space on Ancelon alone, to say nothing of the other continents, which
Yeah.
I don't like the other continents in Kryn. But and I don't really know shit about them. But but then again, there you go.
Yeah.
You know,
What, you didn't want to scavenge around Castle Greyhawk for the 1,000th time? Yeah. Not sure what it would be like, but TSR probably would have benefited from making Dragonlance into its own game. Maybe.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But
Did
then they- but
TSR
then you-
have any other? I'm trying to think now.
At the time? Other
Yeah, I
games?
mean, I actually don't think it would have helped them.
I don't think it would have helped them either.
Yeah, at all, because they were feeding into the big machine, like the powerhouse, and it's still the powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked it better.
The
But
continent of Ancelon was not a massive world. It was quite small in comparison to Greyhawk and the Forgotten Realms, which was actually quite good in its first edition box set, full of promise.
nice.
Yes, John is leper. I'm 100% on board with you guys on rules. Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Rex Teal. 4E is
every time I see Kai's Casades, it's so
I know,
great.
I know, it's so funny.
I'm replaying Morrowind right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. 4E is a great miniature skirmish game. That is what we've heard.
Yeah.
And we'll be playing this on a VTT as well. 4E, I'm playing the game now. Needless to say, the combat takes center stage. Yes.
So we've heard. Yeah, we're going to get the true 4E experience.
Will GM for Food is saying he prefers Vance's Dying Earth as a setting.
Dying Earth is fucking awesome.
John Smith, 4E has fun combat, which is why every D&D edition warrior gets so pissed about it. In crit location intense systems, every mid-level NPC you encounter should have all sorts of parts missing.
Yeah.
Unless they wore armor.
Yep.
Because, I mean, that's... Well, and there should be people who have been dismembered in combat. That did happen throughout history, but there was plenty of warriors who did not die. And the other thing about Mythras, this is the cool thing, and same with, like, RuneQuest, is that you don't always want to kill each other outright.
Yes.
This is the thing, is that, like, if you're getting wounded, you'll yield and get captured and ransomed. You calculate your ransom during character creation, I believe, right? At least I know they do that in RuneQuest.
In RuneQuest, they don't have a ransom space on your character sheet, but that would be accounted for based on your social status and your family history stuff.
Right. And this is the thing, in kind of medieval battles and everything like that, and I'm sure this was prior to it as well, these knights, if they were captured, would be ransomed. So it's like not everybody was getting, it wasn't always the fucking meat grinder where literally everyone's dying, you know. Lots of people get captured. And that's a more interesting way of playing in a lot of ways too. Like obviously monsters have to die. We're not ransoming. They are not human. They need to go. But playing with a ransom system's great because then you've got feuds and you've got leverage over people. Again,
espionage,
creating conflict, creating like gives you gold. Here's a new goal. You get captured for ransom, escape. Or wait it out. Don't piss them off.
Yeah.
You know, like there's all sorts of shit you can do. Will GM for Food. I'm still reading Dying Earth, but it really does make D&D's magic system feel a lot cooler to me. Knowing the inspiration, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but the stories, the Dying Earth stories, are so much cooler, and they are not the coolness of the Dying Earth spell system and the conceptualization of how spells work. It is not like represented at all in D&D. I get none of the inspiration, none of the vibe of these like abstract spell levels. In Dying Earth, it's cool because the writing style and the world is so bizarre and really interesting. You should read.
I know.
Dying Earth.
I need to read the Dying Earth. I just need to read all the Appendix N shit.
Yeah, I've never read Farford and the Grey Mouser.
Neither have I. A lot of people have recommended that though. Sounds like Nick's character is ready to find a dimensional portal to Night City circa 2020. Yeah. Well, that's we've got Lloyd Gunderson from John Consumption. Plus Vance is hilarious.
He is funny.
Comparing 4E to 5E, I think 5E can do combat slightly better, but only if you're an imaginative player working with an excellent DM. I don't know. You can get away with a lot if you have imaginative players and excellent DMs.
That is true.
Like the obviously game system does matter, but it's garbage in, garbage out. You know, if you start with better ingredients, you're going to get a better product at the end. Scalari sounds like a sclera disease. 5e is great for new players, but I'm still partial to 3.5 and Pathfinder.
I don't think it's good for for new players at all, because it encourages all the worst things, or the it establishes assumptions which are like really bad.
Bowtied Board Gamer, good to see you, man. We talk on Twitter a lot. 4E is an awesome combat system, but a meh role-playing system. It was the most honest version of D&D, to be fair.
Interesting. I'm really excited to play 4E.
I am too. Like legitimately.
I kind of really want to love it because I really want to infuriate people and proclaim that it's the best edition of
Right.
D&D.
You can do most of what 4E did in 5E, but quicker and more easily. The only exception is the Warlord class, which is badass. We'll let John respond to that, which I think he did.
John was talking about that when we did our meetup a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of interesting things to say about that class in particular.
What do you think any other edition of D&D does for role-playing that 4E doesn't? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's responded to him. Let me see here. The roleplay in my 4E game is fairly light, mostly because every session is usually centered around a 4-hour-long combat.
Oof.
Yeah. If you choose to play it as a combat game because you enjoy the combat, that's your sourced issue. Yeah, that's a you-sourced issue. Yeah. EG is a Canadian, which explains everything. And if you're not enjoying it, why are you running 4-hour-long combats? Combat shouldn't take longer than I can't see. Take that long at epic in text-based games, which I both run and played in. Skill issue is what I'm hearing.
Probably true.
Not running it, just a player. We use a VTT, and at level 18, resolving all the abilities used each turn, even with macros, takes a while. Wow. The completely filled in realms is what Forgotten Realms is, yeah. Oh. Just jumped in the chat. There we go. I don't know. Just jumped down. I do want to run a Mechton Zeta / Cyberpunk 2020 mashup that's loosely based on Pat Labor Mobile Police.
I know what
is an
Cyberpunk
anime.
2020 is.
Mechton is Artel Saurian Games like anime mech game.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And Pat Labor, if I'm saying that right, is like an 80s or 90s police mech anime.
Oh, okay.
I feel the way about a long Alien campaign as you can feel. What the fuck, dude? I'm illiterate and can't read right now.
As you feel about a long Planescape campaign.
I feel the way about a long Alien campaign as you feel about a long Landscape campaign. I wonder if someone was talking about Alien. There's no such thing as a long Alien campaign, not if you're doing it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
That's
like,
why I never got
I've-
the Alien RPG.
Yeah, I've heard that the Alien RPG is fun, but it's like you're just
watched
playing
the movie
Alien.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the movie. Like, oh, it's a xenomorph again.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Okay. Core is diceless. Generally half an hour to an hour for simple stuff. I think we had like 1 3-hour fight that was a huge set piece, crazy knockdown, drag out, epic kidney punching mega fight. I feel like the only way you could do it is if you take base building rules from one of the other Free League games and do an extended Hadley's Hope. Yeah, okay. So they're talking about the Alien RPG.
Right. And in that case,
Otherwise,
but,
you just breed contempt in the player's characters.
Yeah. But like that's the conundrum, right? Because if you're rebuilding Hadley's Hope at that point, you're not really playing Alien anymore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, Weyland Yutani still exists, and there's
Right.
the Nostromo is out there, and, you know, Ripley is somewhere in the world. But, like, you're not doing Alien. You're doing something else.
Alien can last over a campaign if played very slowly over a series of live actual plays on YouTube. Huh. This is Shauner saying this.
Yeah.
He must be clowning some role players. I favor systems that have crunchy rules that focus on the core ideas of the game and less rules that don't. Correct.
Yeah.
E.g., D&D has less rules for combat, but full-blown procedures for exploration. Yeah, that makes sense. I got you there.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Super chat
Not
from
rebuilding,
KW.
just holding out for rescue, maybe.
Okay. I mean, that would be more Alien.
But again...
But then again, it's
Yeah,
everything
that
is
you have a
precipitated
time
on the
limit.
xenomorph.
Yeah, yeah.
Again. It's like, again, I can suspend my disbelief, but I want to be getting something out of it,
Right.
you know, in so doing. Like, the movie is going to be better than...
Night Danger saying, everything I say is key because I'm a genius and write about everything forever.
That is the appropriate
WTF,
attitude.
why are you barefoot?
You don't want feet pics?
It's hot outside.
Yeah.
and inside.
That is thank you for the $10.
Thank you.
Jesse Forgione. Is that how you say
Who's
your
that
name?
guy?
Yeah. he's playing Chad Gigabrad XVII,
Yes.
the fighter. No.
Yes.
Chad Octavius Gigabrad.
Chad Octavius Gigabrad.
XVII.
XVII.
In our
Like a
Axe
pimp
game.
named Slickback.
Yeah. Thank you for the $10. And
Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
yeah, this is a feet pick stream. So
Yeah.
you got a super chat for that. Night Danger. Yeah. Causing damage with a punch isn't about force, it's about force and time. A big punch is just a push. I guess, but if Andre the fucking Giant punches you
Yeah.
with a
The
lot of
results
force
of his size
Yeah.
will be imprinted on your flesh. You're going to the hospital or the morgue.
Let's see. Plus mass, which is why the fat guy with no training still hits harder than a skinny guy with no training. That's correct.
Again, why,
Yeah.
as someone mentioned, why weight divisions exist.
Rolling with a punch largely negates the damage, but not completely.
Yeah.
You hit harder, but it doesn't do anything but displace the target. I don't know.
I don't.
You get a ransom at character creation. You got Julius Caesar. That shit, and pump those numbers up. I think it's determined by your social background, right?
Yes, your social background, your social status of yourself and your family. In RuneQuest, it's more. There are specific procedures for
Yeah.
determining your ransom value.
Brad Berkeley, damn, probably only catching the very end of this stream. That is correct. We do have about another 5 minutes or so with you guys. And this is before he spent $10. If only you had a little bit lower
We didn't
time
catch him,
preference.
so,
An NPC could pay your ransom in exchange for your assistance or allegiance. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
it
true.
adds a whole bunch of cool shit to the game. Fishing for super chats.
Always.
That's what a live stream is. In 4E, WotC fixed the age-old problem of linear fighters and quadratic wizards, and people hated it. Yeah, didn't they make it so it was quadratic fighters and quadratic wizards? Like, why do you think they have so many viewers right now? Oh man, he knows what the viewers really want. That's true.
That's right.
Less talking, more feet. Schizo button. For an experienced DM, I think that the Apocalypse world could do Dragonlance justice. Powered by the Apocalypse system is a powerful tool in the hands of a proficient and reflective GM.
I think that's fucking wrong. Yeah, Powered by the Apocalypse is not good. I mean, like, yeah, again, a good GM could do a better job with whatever he has to use, but the confines of being like narratively restrained in terms of player move actions, GM story beats. I just think it's not good. It really doesn't work well for the medium of role playing.
Azimuth saying you maintain a human-centric position. Is your Dragonlance game an exception?
Hell no.
No.
That's why none of the pre-gens were anything but human males.
Yeah, no furries.
Yeah.
The hardest punch I ever took was from someone smaller than me. Martial arts. Can't say that I know anything about martial arts. Legion of Myth's deep dive into the Alien RPG made it look really cool. I'm mostly interested in it as a sci-fi horror game, though. Plus, sounds a lot less railroady than I thought it would be.
Honestly, like what I would say, a world and a game with a lot more flexibility, with a more interesting and open sci-fi setting that's still Free League, is Coriolis. I really like Coriolis. I like it a lot. It's an interesting take. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of interesting implications with regards to how the galactic nation that you're in has been formed and what you do and don't have access to. It's a sci-fi setting that has like an unironic, uncynical like religion, which you don't typically see in hard sci-fi. And there are a lot more there's a lot more material. It's been out much longer. And you can do something other than be hunted by xenomorphs in that game. I would check that out. Uses the same system.
Playing as a human is all well and good, but have you experienced the amazement of seafaring, swashbuckling minotaurs? Thought not.
Minotaurs are fucking cool.
They are cool.
In general, but also in Dragonlance.
Horror games have always been weird for me because horror as a genre doesn't lend itself to a long-form storytelling. I disagree. It
depends on the type.
It depends on the type because
You're being hunted by a slasher, no.
But if you're playing Vampire, for instance, where it is assumed that your character is not going to die unless they meet a violent end, that they will never die of old age, there's a lot of scheming that goes on, and it can last a very, very long time. And I've been a part of many long-term vampire games, and I know of many, many, many others that follow that as well.
Yeah.
So it depends on the type of horror.
I will run a V5 one-shot soon.
Yes. You need to run Cult as well.
I should run Cult, which again is I'm contradicting myself because Cult uses Powered by the Apocalypse.
Well, the current edition of
current
Cult,
edition.
We can
I'll have to figure out
previous one.
What would be better.
Yeah.
Which honestly might be maybe Chronicles or World of Darkness can be converted. I don't know. I have to think about it.
Coriolis is good. Love most Free League stuff, especially Vaesen, which I think is what people say Candela Obscura was like trying to
do. Yeah.
Like peak horror films will be under 2 hours, but RPGs generally expect at least 6 sessions. Hard to keep it going. It just depends. Yeah. I'm more talking Call of Cthulhu investigative horror. Yes. So that
right, something that has a ticking time bomb, which is either a slasher or a monster or an apocalyptic situation, like the Armageddon revelation of Lovecraftian truths.
Right.
But horror doesn't have to be those things. Horror doesn't have to be deal with a ticking time bomb.
Right. Kaz the Minotaur was a badass.
That's
the only Minotaur Knight of Solamnia.
That's true.
Glad I'm not the only one in here who likes the Dying Earth. I attempt to give that Dying Earth feel when someone making a character asks how the magic user thematically works when I run Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Nice.
Yeah. Dying Earth is so good.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people like either Kugel or Rialto. I think still my favorite Dying Earth story. I believe it's the first one. So at least it's the first one in the compilation I have. And I don't remember what it was called, but it's the one with Turjan. It's a shorter story. They're all short stories, but that is by far my favorite one.
Yeah. What am I looking at here? Horror is dependent on the GM as a good storyteller. We didn't have that highlighted. Horror is dependent on the GM as a good storyteller. Mechanics like 10 Candles and Dread help a lot. I have OG Cult in Swedish if that helps. Nice. Well, we don't read Swedish, but I'm not allowed to play VTM 5e according to the White Wolf and Renegade Studios.
Yeah.
All right, I want to try almost all of the Free League Year Zero games anyway. Yeah. The first Dying Earth story where a guy was trying to grow a girlfriend in a vat, so he asks another wizard with a vat GF for help is the best short story.
Really appropriate to our time.
Turgeon of Mir was the one.
Yeah.
Anthropophobic, fear of the furries. It's not fear, it's just hate.
It's virtue.
So glad to see someone shill Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It is absolutely the best BX retro clone, far better than OSE. Yeah. I guess I missed most of this. You did because unfortunately it is 10:30 and it is my bedtime. It's not my bedtime, but we do only stream for about 2 hours. So thank you very much, everyone, for stopping by. And
yeah, much obliged to all the super chats.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much for the super chats. We do appreciate that. This was a whole bunch of fun. Yeah, you did miss it, but it will be up. You can go and see the whole thing.
And the Joe Biden voice worked much better.
It did. Yeah.
Now
Yeah, it's better.
Have
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to turn it off when there's guests. It's fine if it interrupts us. It's not okay if it interrupts another person.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you guys. We're going to end the stream now, and we'll see you soon.
Take it easy, boys.